And welcome back to Leo Gaming. Today I'm doing a review on Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. Doing this, to be honest, I've played this game loads of times, but because it's that 25th anniversary, I already had all three games anyway, even though they've released the new sort of trilogy together. I just wanted to do a review on it today. I'm a Tomb Raider fan. I've played Tomb Raider since the very first one when I was about 8 or 9. Tomb Raider 1 and 2. I had them on PC actually, the old Pentium 2 processors. They were really good games, really good games back then. I remember you had to buy the old walkthrough book. Obviously now it's all online, but back then it used to be a thick book that you used to have to buy to do a walkthrough of it if you got stuck. They were the good old days when you had to sort of keep pausing the game, flick the page, pause the game, read the paragraph. So yeah, they were the good old days, but obviously nowadays it's all online. But anyway, so moving on to the Tomb Raider game. I was actually really impressed when Crystal Dynamics first took on the Tomb Raider trilogy. I thought it was brilliant. To be honest, I thought it was a good way for them to go. The origin story of Lara Croft. With this game, you get a lot of moments in it where it's Lara's first sort of way of doing something. For example, when she first kills an animal, you can see the emotion in her face. It's really well acted. Obviously, they did the old mocap. Really well acted when she first killed her first animal and had to skin it. Then it was her first human kill. You go through all the sort of rigmaroles that sort of lead up to, for example, before the very first game. And it shows you a sort of more in-depth character. I mean, that's what I would say this one is more about. It's more of a character-driven story, which is great. I absolutely love that. I think that was the way it needed to go. The character needs to be explored a bit more to just give the game a bit more sense, right? You couldn't keep on going just as like the original ones or even Legend and Underworld. Is it Underworld? I can't remember now. He couldn't keep on going that. You had to explore the characters more, and every single character is quite well explored. They all have their personalities, and they all bounce off each other quite well. So yeah, the story I think is absolutely fantastic. It's basically they discover an island called Yamatai in the Dragon's Triangle where they go and visit because they want to try and work out the history of it and discover it. And you know, as archaeologists do, they like to adventure and they run into a lot of trouble with people that are already there. Let's put it that way. I don't want to give it away in case you haven't played it. So it's a really good story. They took a more of a slightly horror turn. It's a lot more graphic, a lot more gory than obviously the previous games, which is good. It's and they desexualized Lara a bit, which is good because obviously the original ones it was all sexualized. At the end of the day, if you go on an adventure like that, you're not wearing skimpy shorts and a skimpy top. Do you know what I mean? She's wearing proper clothes that you would wear on an adventure sort of thing, which gives the character more realism. It gives it more realism. I mean, that worked back in the late 90s, but now you've got more in depth to the characters and stuff. It's definitely a lot better now, I think. So anyway, going on to the gameplay. The gameplay I found was very smooth. It's a little bit annoying because when you are doing some things, it takes the control away from you just to do a little tiny cutscene. More at the start of the game, but I think that's because it's the tutorial part. It's sort of showing you the mechanics of the game. Obviously, they've kept all the running and the jumping and the ledge hanging, the climbing. I don't have to go into too much detail about that. I'm sure most people know what Lara Croft is all about now, how she traverses the environments. The look of the environment itself, I've got to admit, playing it today, I mean, I've been playing it the last couple of days, running through it again. It holds up really well. I'm playing on the Series X. Now, this isn't optimized for the Series X, which I think it should be. All three of them should be. It still holds up, it looks better than a lot of games that you currently get. It still holds up really well. Obviously, it's not next gen, but it still holds up really well. So yeah, I think that's absolutely fantastic. Couple of you traverse an island called Yamatai. You get a variation of different environments. You get, obviously, it's a lot of mountainous environments, cliff hanging, things like that. You've got the ocean. You go out onto boat. You have to try and get onto a boat in the middle, sort of just out off the shore a little bit. You're in caves a lot. This one it's a lot of very cave based game, which is good because obviously it's Tomb Raider. You get some tombs, but in this one, the tombs don't really reward you with much. They're good, but you get one skill point from each one and just a little thing that says what tomb it was, and it's okay. It's not the best, but I think they do better in the next two iterations with the tombs. Obviously, it's a very cutscene driven game, so expect a few cutscenes, which I like because it drives the story. What they have done, they've done. It's an open world as such, but you get little linear bits which then lead out into an open world area, small open world area, which is good. I think Tomb Raider wouldn't work if it was just a complete open world game. It has to have these little linear paths that you follow where you defeat a few enemies and then you come out into an open world area where you've got all the different secrets and collectibles dotted around that little part of the map. And obviously you can traverse that in many ways: wall climbing, rock climbing, zip lining down zip lines, which you can use your bow and arrow to create your own zip line at certain points in the map. Obviously, can you swim? No, you can't swim, strangely enough, on this one. I know in the second two they changed that, but in this one you can't swim. So yeah, I mean, there is a lot of different. You've got old Japanese palaces, environments, a lot of fire and debris, broken up sort of ruins and stuff like that. It's a really, really good environment, really good setting to have it. Sometimes a game is really good to have a setting where it's just one area, like this island. Like, for example, with the Metal Gear Solid brand series, the very first Metal Gear Solid, where you're on Shadow Island, that is good. I think the reason why the other Metal Gear Solids aren't as good as the first, and everyone prefers the first one, is because it's in one area, Shadow Island. Whereas the second one, you're going from New York, you're going to a boat, you're going to some oil rig somewhere, and then all of them sort of start going off too much. Whereas I think when you're in one setting, it's better. And this is obviously set on the island of Yamatai, the fictional island of Yamatai in the Dragon's Triangle. In terms of sound's absolutely fantastic. I'm not really one to pick up on sound. The score, they reuse the old original score, but they've obviously modernised it a little bit, so you do hear it. You can save points are pretty much at the sort of base camps where you can up all the skill points that you've gained from collectibles or leveling up. You can upgrade yourself at these base camps, which are sort of basically little fireplaces, little fires that you sort of sit around. You can upgrade your weapons and your bow and your other bits and bobs. You can change your clothing as well. Funny enough, you can change it into the original skimpy outfit from the original Tomb Raiders. So. And you can obviously use skill points to upgrade yourself. You can upgrade, how much loot you get from scavenging, how your ammo capacity. The usual standard things you get from this type of game. They have tried to add RPG elements into this game. I don't think it really works. Like, you go around and you collect these plants, but you do nothing with it. It's like the hunting, the bow. The bow's only good for killing enemies. For some reason, they show you to kill animals, but you can play the whole game, which I've done, without killing any other animals, unless you have to, which is normally a wolf. So they've tried to add RPG, but it's sort of half-assed. It's not. They've obviously not been wholeheartedly gone into that. Again, they changed that in the next two games. In terms of replayability, you can replay it. I'm a sucker for trying to collect all the collectibles. Basically they're like audio diaries, which is good. They're all really well voiced, and you listen to them, and you get audio diaries. You get little trinkets, little antique things that you get, or similar to Uncharted. This, you can tell, is very Uncharted inspired, should I say. But it's weird because you want to say it's Uncharted inspired, but Tomb Raider was around before Uncharted. Uncharted's a fantastic game, don't get me wrong. But I think this is what Tomb Raider... I just wish Tomb Raider had done this type of action first with this sort of game. But it's still brilliant. It's an absolutely fantastic game. I would suggest you buy the trilogy on the whatever console you've got. Obviously, I've got Xbox, so if you're on Xbox, buy it on Xbox, on PS5 or PS4, buy it on PlayStation. But go get it, because the story all interlinks. It all interlinks, and it's a great trilogy to have. I really want them to now remake the very first three, but in this sort of vein. And I think that would be absolutely... I think Crystal Dynamics need to keep it. Don't start giving it to other developers, because they'll do something with it. And for the love of God, please do not turn Tomb Raider into some online multiplayer live service game, because that will just absolutely destroy it. We've got enough online live service games. Keep Tomb Raider as a single player story experience. So Crystal Dynamics, if you're listening, or whoever is developing this next, please don't turn it into a live service. It's one of the very few games that have stayed as a single-player campaign. They have online multiplayer, but no one uses it. It's crap. So just keep it as a story campaign. What else is there? So you get a good choice of weapon. Well, you don't get a good choice of weapons. You only get about 3. You get a shotgun, a handgun, and a rifle. And you can upgrade them all throughout. The enemies are okay. They're not, it's not the best AI I've ever seen in a game. They're quite easy to kill. The most annoying ones are the ones that lob the smoke, the bottle bombs, the petrol bombs, and other bits and bobs. One shoots an arrow of fire. They get really on my tits, but they're all right. So yeah, it's a great game, great story, great environment, and you will really get immersed into it. It really shows Lara Croft as an actual person rather than a sex object going through a game, you know what I mean? Which I think is brilliant. I think that's what it needed to be. And yeah, I mean, obviously I used to love the original games back in the day, but that's because back then that worked. I was 8 or 9 and it worked for that era of gaming. Now I think it's, this is the way forward for sort of this type of game, and female characters especially. So yeah, I've enjoyed this game. I've got to finish it today, actually. I haven't finished it yet, so I'm going to carry on playing it after I've done this video. And I will be playing. I will do a review on Rise and Shadow as well. But anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave any comments below. Love you all and have a good day. Bye.